That's good.
Okay. I'm giving my speech on the bad parts about a zoo. First, when you think about the harming of animals, most people don't think about the harm that zoos actually do to people. Zoos harm animals in many different ways. I will talk about why zoos are so bad for animals and the better overall solution instead of having zoos. And then why captivity is so bad for these animals, like why is it so bad for these animals to be in a zoo. Go over like the artificial cages, the unnatural habitats, and then the effects of tourists and people on the animals who are just visiting, and the zoo's overall goals over what other solutions might be offering for these animals. And then solutions for zoos. Instead of zoos, we can focus on natural wildlife rescues and sanctuaries for rehabilitation and like learning about animals rather than zoos. And we will focus on the better care that they can provide, the benefits they actually do give to animals and rehabilitation, and the fact that animals actually do get released back into the wild, and most importantly, the least amount of human interaction that they can have to be okay. First, captivity is so bad for any species of animal. It can cause psychological distress to the animal in an area that they are not commonly used to. The habitats in the zoo lack space for the animal to move around, causing boredom, just a lack of their overall functions that they would normally see in the wild, causing a lot of mental problems and physical problems and health problems for these animals that live in there. Like, it even can cause depression and anxiety, and then the solitude that they are, because there's not very many of them in any confinement. At most, you're getting a few. Sometimes there's only one, and it can be very lonely for them. And the loss of natural behaviors for the animal. They get on a very specific routine in the zoo, and they don't get to form the natural, ways that they would normally do it in the wild, which does not do very well for the animal. It doesn't do anything for us either. And shortened lifespans and health issues. It causes many health issues, just being with the induced stress of having a bunch of random people there. Social isolation. Many species are very social, yet don't have very many animals in their enclosure, like talked about earlier, which cause aggression. And then the people have a very high impact on the animals. They cause disruptions in everyday life of the animals, causing them to change their habits into worse habits, causing even other things. And also, with zoos, there's another big problem that is they lack funding and they lack restriction. A lot of zoos, most people don't realize this, but a lot of zoos actually do not have proper funding to take care of most of these animals. And there's not a lot of regulations on zoos to help protect these animals and make sure they're not just there for profit. Because most zoos' intentions are more profit over animal health. So you're looking at animal being exploited, so you're looking at some ethical concerns with these animals and just animal decency in general. Second, and now let's talk about the differences, or what we should do better instead of zoos. Focus on animal rescues and sanctuaries. And what is an animal rescue? Well, its purpose is to focus on rehabilitating helping injured animals, rehabilitating orphaned animals, just helping them get back to their natural self and release them into the wild. They're not there to gain a profit for public entertainment. So that's a big reason why it actually helps the animals. And zoos are entertainment focused for the public. And it can actually diminish proper education over animals and conservation efforts in zoos. And that's why we should go to wildlife rescues and sanctuaries. And it's just better overall because they keep them in nicer places. They have better researchers. They have very experienced people who have gone into fields specifically for these types of animals that will help them much better than any zoologist will, who has a general, broad sense of all animals and looks into profiting off of them. And they get the proper habitat that they need, stress-free, live their lives normally while being slowly back into the wild. And they're properly bred to go to repopulate, whereas zoos just repopulate. Doesn't actually do much for the population of the animals. And then the education emphasize the proper ways of the animal, treating the animals properly and all of that. In all, wildlife rescue centers prioritize healing, release, and ethical care. They prioritize the health of the animal specifically. They don't prioritize the entertainment. And that is why wildlife rescue centers are so good compared to zoos, and why we should probably get rid of zoos overall and focus supporting wildlife rescue centers. Thank you.